Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to do a long overdue project and install a Blazecut fire suppression system in our Westie. Though we properly maintain our van, we replaced all the fuel lines, things can happen. If you watched our Baja video, then you saw out in the middle of nowhere, we developed a small fuel leak at where the plastic hose meets the rubber. There's a fuel line that comes from the fuel filter. It's a hard line that then goes into a rubber soft line that feeds the fuel pressure regulator. It was leaking from there, so took it all apart, took AFM out, throttle body, boot off. Nothing was terribly wrong, so I just tightened it back up, added a third clamp on there, and then rerouted the hose a little bit, and then zip tied it up to keep the tension off from it. Seems not to be leaking now. Luckily for us, we had pulled over to do some other work and noticed the gas smell and was able to fix it right there. Since we got home, we decided to replace that entire multi-connector piece that goes from the fuel filter up to the T with one long continuous rubber hose. We picked up some high quality hose from Go Westie. We covered it in a shrink wrap abrasion resistant material to give it a little bit of stiffness and to protect it as it runs from the fuel filter back. We put a new grommet in the firewall and then ran it up to the T. Kind of where it gets a bit close to the engine, we've wrapped it in a few layers of heat resistant tape and also built an additional shield from the exhaust so it doesn't get the fuel line too hot. So now we don't have any additional connectors, but there are still a ton of connectors, a lot of hose clamps that go from the T to the fuel pressure regulator to all your fuel injectors. There's a lot going on back there. So the risk of one of those developing a leak is pretty high. And that's where something like the Blazecut really comes in handy. So this is our Blazecut system. You can pick these up anywhere online. They kind of range from, we saw from $230 to $270. Kind of what they are. They're relatively expensive, I think, for what these little hose that you get, but the peace of mind that it offers you and the potential protection to either get out of your van before it burns down or to put out a fire immediately is well worth it. Let's see what you get in the box. This is our 6-foot long Blazecut fire suppression hose. We'll put on the engine compartment lid. And it looks like you get some zip ties and some instructions. Should be a pretty simple install. So here's your engine. If you don't have a water boxer, yours might look different. Here is the new hose we put in that goes straight back to the fuel filter with no connections at all. One connection there, one at the fuel filter. Here is your fuel injectors. And if you look at all those hose clamps, there's 18 hose clamps in this fuel injection system. And each one of those is a place that it can potentially leak. If it leaks above any of these exhaust pieces over here, that's where you could potentially have a fire. So let's get this Blazecut installed. So here's our engine lid. This is where we're going to place our Blazecut fire suppression system. We have the latches towards the front so we know which side and how we're going to curl this on, because this is like 6 feet long and we can't just put it around. We're going to basically curl it, have a loop, and then curl it back around. That's the way I've seen a lot of people do it. That's the way I think Go Westie does it. It seems to make the most sense for me. So what we'll do is we'll get this, the zip ties cut off. We'll kind of get it laid out, kind of see how we want to put it on there. Trying to find a way to keep it in one place while we put the zip ties through this foam down into the wire mesh and then get it secured. So we're going to kind of put it so this kind of even on both sides, and we'll put a zip tie here to kind of keep it in the middle, and we'll kind of loop these back around like this on both sides. There's a degree bend in the instructions about how tight you can go. We won't have to do that because it's just 6 feet on here. If you had a longer one, I think the next one up is 10. That would probably be a tighter fit. I haven't seen that done. I'm sure people have done it before, but for us 6 will be fine. We'll kind of do it something like this a little bit, so it'll be zip tied in right above the engine compartment. So we're going to start in the middle up the top here. We have this tool we made out of an old cotter pen to kind of go under the foam, hook behind the wire, and kind of create a hole for the zip tie. We'll just tape the zip tie to it and pull it all the way through. Okay, we're under the wire there. Tape this on. through. And that's now behind the wire mesh, not just in the foam. Get this loosely centered on things about this area here. We'll just put this on. We're not going to snug it down yet. Just kind of get it so it stays in place. And we'll wrap the lower ones as well, kind of get the shape, and then put the rest of the zip ties in. So we'll put this guy right about there, maybe. Again, I'll put this on loosely. Just kind of keep it in place. We'll do one over. We'll do the one over here. This is about center. Something like that. Pull this thing right through. So there's the basic shape that we're going to do. And everybody chooses to do it a little bit different. I don't really know what's going to work, and I hope I never have to find out. But that should cover both sides of where the fuel injectors are, a little bit in the middle, a little bit in the back. There's the final install. Added a few more zip ties. Everything's tightened down. But don't forget to remove this before use. I know some people have talked about trying to put the gauge in the spot where you can read it from the, the license plate thing, but I can't imagine a time where I'm ever going to open up the license plate and look at my Blazecut gauge. So that's where it's at. So there it is, installed. You kind of see it through the license plate hatch a little bit. Protecting our engine in case anything ever happens, which we hope we never have to use. Well, there you go. A super easy install for something that could not only save your Westie, but potentially your life as well. I don't know why it took us so long to get this done. It's just one of those projects that pushed off and pushed off, but I'm really glad we got it done now. If you have any questions or comments, or maybe you did the install yourself and have some thoughts on how we did ours, drop them in the comments below. We'll see you next time. Thanks.